Hi, Alma. Welcome to our first session. Please make yourself comfortable and let me know if you need a break at any time. Before we begin, I'm ethically required to go over an informed consent to the client. So please go ahead and review these detailed pages where you will learn more about the goals of our counseling sessions. Okay, now that I've given you some time to go over the informed consent, do you have any questions?
So it says here that there's no guarantee for like a complete result even after the therapy sessions.
Yes, well, just to explain that a little bit better, there are no specific statistics or numbers that will that say that there's been a percentage of people that actually get better after therapy. There are some studies that reveal that there's 1/3 of the population that does benefit from it, 1/3 that doesn't, and 1/3 that actually gets worse. Reason being that sometimes when you're talking about specific problems and difficult situations, you might encounter remembering feelings that make you feel uncomfortable. So sometimes you might feel that you have to feel worse before you get better. But it's something that I'm willing to work with the client, and it's something that is different for every person. So do you have any other questions?
No, that's all.
Okay, so I would like to go over the main points, even though you have no more questions. Regarding confidentiality, I want you to know that everything that is spoken here is confidential, but there are also limits of confidentiality, and that as a counselor, I'm a mandated reporter, which means that I'm required to report that if at any chance you tell me that you need to or intend to harm yourself or someone else, I need to let someone know. And also that if there's any abuse of vulnerable populations such as children or the elderly, I would also have to report that. So do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Other than that, everything that is spoken here is confidential. It's something that you could be sure about. On the informed consent that you're holding, also note my qualification as a counselor, the procedures and techniques that I typically use, the certifications that I have. I also want you to know that as a client, you have the right to access your file when you feel the need to read it. Okay? So keep in mind that if you ever have any questions that you're allowed to ask me at any given time. So now that we went over this, what brings you to the counseling session today?
So I'm here because it's been so 5 years ago I met this person, and even though it's been 5 years, like I feel like I'm still not over regretting or making myself feel that it was my fault for like the end of that relationship. And even though I know that there are more important things, like my relationship with God has become stronger than ever. I've known God in a way that I haven't before. It's like those things where people would say like your God becomes like personal once he becomes like your God and not just your parents' God. So I guess this regret, even though I'm trying to comfort myself in like the faith that I have in God, like there's still moments of sadness and self-regret of things that could have been. And I know that to normal society, that's probably not okay.
Okay.
I don't know if it's so I'm not really sure. So I'll just tell you like the way it started. So when it started, I was obsessed with keeping a relationship with another guy named Alex, and I was not able to go like look past that. And at that point in my life, like my spiritual life was not truly following God, and I feel that I was not able to like appreciate what God had placed in my life to show me like an alternative, because I wanted things to work out with Alex so bad that I was like willing to just compulsively lie about a lot of things that I'm really ashamed of right now.
Can you tell me more about those things that you were ashamed of?
Well, first of all, I've always had an issue with confessing my real age. For some reason, like I feel that because I haven't been like at par with life or its expectations, then in a way I have disappointed my family and myself. So I do it, why I don't do it currently anymore, but I did it because not out of a malicious like standpoint, but because it was a way to like shield myself from like the judgment of others. And well,
what do you mean by shield yourself from the judgment of others?
Well, I would, and it was probably not relevant, it was probably not even true, but I thought that people would judge me for not being able to live on my own past 18. So then I would lie about being like 19 at the time, or whatever society would expect from me. And it became like, I feel that I'm actually blessed with not looking my real age. But in a sense, that became like an open door for a lot of other things that were not okay.
Okay. So, can you tell me more about the things that were hard, that were not okay, besides this relationship with this guy?
So, about Alex?
You started with another person. So,
Okay.
Can you tell me more about him?
So I met him on a trip to Guatemala for a medical mission in 2015, and I remember hating him in the beginning. Like when I first saw him, I got there, I hurt my foot. There was something going on that they never really figured out what it was, but I had foot drop on my left foot, and still I felt that I needed to go on that mission. And I even like had a little meeting argument with my father and my like surgeons that I work with, because I work as a surgical tech, and they said that it was not the most sensible thing to fly to a third world country without being able to like walk on my own feet. But still I went. And I don't know, I had this feeling, this like premonition that I needed to just go, even if I was not physically able to.
Okay.
And we got there. I was waiting for the people to pick us up from like the bus in Guatemala, because you can't just like go there. It's not a safe like country in most parts.
Okay.
And we were waiting for other people that were going to join our team. So I got there first, and I traveled by myself. It was probably not the wisest thing. But I was there and I was waiting, and then I was told that we were waiting for 2 people from Wisconsin. And so when he got there, I was really a different person than I am right now, and I was just like full of myself, and I was like, why am I waiting for these people from Wisconsin? It's like the middle of nowhere. And he gets there with his mother. His mother's a nurse practitioner, and I just had all these like projections on like my impressions on what life is, and how he was probably privileged, and I had still been working as a tech for years, trying to help my family with financial means, and he's just there potentially being a doctor, and yet like he later like I found out that he was actually pre-med, but I just displayed and like poured out all my projections on him. And I think God has the humor a little bit, because there's things like where I find myself like, oh, I really don't like this person, and then I end up really falling for that person. But then, like, as the week progressed, because we were there for 10 days, the missions are 10 days, I saw something different in him where there's like this, like when somebody's really committed to like leaving the world behind, everybody has a past. And I know he had a past too. He told me about it too. But there was something about him and the way he actually truly followed and worshiped God that distinguished him from everybody else that was probably at a lukewarm status.
Okay,
And
so what do you mean by he was truly after that? How did you see that?
he was like, the way he was only there to like, everything about him was just trying to like follow God. There was like no desire to flirt, no desire to notice other girls that were probably wearing less clothes than they should have, at points in our trip. And the way like he would just carry himself across, and like his afferent, and the way he just spoke about the Bible, the way he even treated his mother.
Okay.
And there was something that was different. And things just got like I felt that I had like the courage to just like talk to anybody, and I did. But of course my talk about, like, most of my talk to Justin, that's this guy, was mostly about Alex and how like things were not okay, and even then he always offered to like pray with me and care. And there's one memorable scene that never really leaves my memory. So because I couldn't really walk on my own feet, I had the luck of actually having my bedroom in the second floor, and there were no elevators available. So every night, like, all the guys in the team would just like take turns to carry me up the stairs, and I was actually like lighter back then, so it was not that big of an issue. But we had, like, as it is tradition with that medical group that I am a part of, they do this really nice dinner to say thanks to like all the medical workers for their service, because it's actually a pro bono surgery, so you pay to go and you pay to like stay, and you provide your service for free. So during the dinner, I was wearing a nice dress that my dad had purchased for me earlier that year, and I wanted to wear pumps because I just like stilettos. And I figured that since I was going to be either on my wheelchair, because that's how I got around, or carried, it wouldn't be a problem. But there's things where, like, even a guy with the past, the guy that has had experience like sexually, when he's following Christ, there's something that just like distinguishes like the carnal desires. And he had to have his mom like ask me or tell him to like carry me up the stairs, and he was like the only, like, all the other guys like during the entire week, they would just like grab me, like carry me, like put me up in the wheelchair, and he was like the only one that asked. Like, he was just like, may I, and it was just like out of I don't know if you're familiar with Jane Austen's novels.
Yeah, somewhat. My sister likes them a lot.
She has good taste, I must say. But in a sense, like the love interest, the one that's like the most courteous and the true gentleman, that was him, and there's something about like that triggered, the relationship. But he was so focused in like turning himself to God that I was not really like at his level spiritually at that point. That I know that God was protecting him from me, because I was not a really good person.
Can you tell me more about that feeling? About,
Which
you
is,
not being at that level?
I found myself just doing things that would benefit me for any level of my life. I was like, I would only just seek my own benefit in a lot of ways. And I was really stuck up and thought that things were just like, people just deserve things because of their physical appearance. And well, our friendship continued on past that trip, that medical mission. But what really ended things was that there was just a combination of things where, like, he was upset that I continued talking to Alex, and I never really valued his friendship. I would make him talk to me. It's like 3 hours ahead from California to Wisconsin, and he would still talk to me like past like midnight. Still go to school, you know, the next day. And I didn't really value that until the point that he like got tired of it, I'm sure, you know, and with good reason. And he said, like, one of the messages that he sent that I really remembered, and just like really hurts my heart, he said, well, if we're not really heading towards a relationship, we can't just talk like this. And it's a concept that I never really understood, that men and women can't be friends past like the goal of becoming something else. And I understand why he did that. But ever since then, like, I've been hoping that things would get better, but they don't. And even though, like, when I came back to Christ, there was this great heaviness in my heart that made me want to like apologize for the way I had treated him and not really appreciated his friendship. But I think he did forgive me, but I don't know, like, maybe this is the human in me just thinking that he didn't truly forgive me, because if he would have still been like able to be my friend. But I'm not sure what his life is. He's not really into social media. When we had like a dinner there, also like in the medical mission, we went to like a restaurant on top of a volcano, and I was that person that would try to like cherish memories and try to like post it on Facebook at the moment of time, the special occasion. He said you have to just enjoy time. He took my phone, of course I let him, you know, things that people just but I guess why I'm here is because I've heard that talking about it, I know that talking about it doesn't usually have like a true like guarantee that it's gonna get fixed. And I'm not really sure why I'm here, in the sense like I'm not trying to find a way to forget Justin.
Okay, so you felt upset, right? You felt upset with those words that he gave you? You felt upset?
I felt upset because I felt that was like the last straw. And I was the one that caused it.
Did something happen in the last few days or weeks that made you feel or remember the specific situation?
There's just like whenever my sister is always like talking to her boyfriend, or my brother is like visiting his girlfriend, and there's a lot of like stressors in my life currently, probably just like distractors, I guess. So maybe blessings in disguise. But whenever there's obvious relationships of something that I don't have, it's kind of obvious. And on days when I'm not feeling as strong in God, like I get more susceptible to noticing those indicators. And it's this pain that cannot be really explained, because it was not like a real relationship in a sense, but there's something. So I guess daily life, you know.
You're upset about the possibility that could have been in your head. You feel like something could have been different?
I really truly feel that it could have been different. I came across this picture once, I forget how many years ago, of this picture drawing of Jesus with the little girl, and the little girl's holding a teddy bear. It's kind of small, and he has this bigger teddy bear in the back of his, like, just hiding it and just telling the little girl, trust me. And I totally felt that Justin was that big teddy bear, but I didn't want to let go of Alex. And
well, we have talked about a number of different issues you're facing right now. And you have told me about how you were hurt with the first relationship that you had, and in a way you alluded to that relationship because of other pains that you felt by losing your sister. And then you met this other guy, Justin, who was completely different from your boyfriend, from your first boyfriend, and who showed closeness to God as you thought you had, and you were just, in awe of him. And so you felt an attachment to him, and you feel regret because you feel that you were not there for him as he was for you, and that you didn't appreciate him. So you feel that he didn't forgive you truly, because if he would have forgiven you, he would still be talking to you.
He did say, like, on one of his voice messages, saying that our relationship was really hard on him.
Okay. So I know that you also mentioned the teddy bear. You also mentioned the teddy bear that, you had something that you could hold on to, and then God had something better for you. But because we talked about this before we started, and I know that you're also a believer, and based on what you've told me, I do want to remind you that God is a God of opportunities. God is a God who makes everything better. He turns bad things into good things, even if you made a mistake. So I do want to encourage you to hold on to that hope, and that, it's something that we could continue talking about, because there's other things that we have to discuss in the next session that we have. I really hope that you feel that, there's something more, that we could go over, and I'm confident that we can, continue talking about this to the extent that you feel comfortable.
Of course.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. Okay?
You're welcome.
Okay, I will see you at the time that we decided. Okay, thank you.